Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm... Uh-oh. I kicked something over there.
Oh, no.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
That was a great start. Well, this week we are here to discuss the last two episodes of The Muppet Show.
Oh, no. Please, no.
And that is, of course, in the New York airing order, according to Muppet Wiki, which says that these episodes aired on May 30th and June 8th of 1981. One of those dates is a Saturday, and one is a Monday, so who the heck knows what's going on with these air
80s,
dates?
Man. Nobody knew.
They're like,
TV was brand new.
But those air dates are the best we've got to work with in our chronological order, so we have stuck with them for now. And those episodes are the ones featuring guests Señor Wences and Mellisa Manchester.
I'm definitely going to call her Melissa McCarthy at some point in this episode, so you have to stop me when I do.
Well, I'm not gonna now. I'm just gonna let it go.
Okay.
But that's not all we watched. We also watched a compilation of Muppet Show TV promotion little clips, and we watched an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood featuring Big Bird. And the reason we watched that is because it aired between these two episodes of The Muppet Show in June of 1981.
It sure did, Matt. That's a new energy I'm going to try to bring to the show.
That great follow-up improv comedy you got there. Just yes. Not and, just yes.
No. I'm taking this seriously, like a news anchor. That's right, Matt. And next up, we're going to talk about whatever question you've written down for us to talk about right after this. Okay. Go.
I was waiting for the ad break.
Well, I'll put it in post.
Oh, okay. Can't wait to hear who sponsored us this week. Well, the opening question I had for you here, Sam, is just sort of, how you feel being done with the Muppet Show. We've done it. We finished it.
I got a little bit like, not sad, but something when I was watching the Mellisa Manchester episode.
Well, I'm glad you felt something.
But I did actually get more sad when we watched the promos. Because some of some of it was like, I know I didn't like this when I was watching it, this particular thing that they're showing, but it looks so fun here. And it did put me in a spot where it's like, imagine sitting down. I feel like I've been a little unfair to the Muppet Show. Imagine sitting down in that 1980 and you turn on the TV and there's a bunch of puppets like flailing around. You can just watch that whenever you want to. We don't have anything like that right now. It was probably really fun. And those promos looked fun. It looked like a fun show to watch.
Yeah, I had the thought of, when watching these last two episodes, of when's the next time I will choose to go back and watch the Muppet Show? Because I feel like we're obviously going to move on to watching other non-Muppet Show Muppet things, but there's going to be a time in the future where I'll be craving some Muppet Show, I think, and then I'll have to choose which episode I want to watch or what I'm, like, if I'm feeling a specific sketch.
But now you know perfectly. You can go back and listen to which ones you liked and then watch them. I can't remember which ones I liked. But
that's part of the problem, is if somebody asked me what my favorite episode of The Muppet Show was, I still don't know that I'd really be able to tell them, even after all this time of watching every single episode.
I think I've pretty firmly settled on it being the train station one for me.
Yeah, I still think I have a soft spot for the Mac Davis episode because it feels like the ideal Muppet Show episode to me within the confines of the normal format of the show. But right. I do like the train station one a lot. But I think the Glenda Jackson one beats out the train station one for me because of the pirate ship.
Oh, yeah. That's also a very good one.
So I think for me, currently, if I had to, someone gun to my head was like, hey, Muppet Show, best episodes, go. I'd probably say Mac Davis and Glenda Jackson.
Who did the pirate, Pigs in
John
Space one?
Cleese.
I do kind of want to go through and make like the machete cut of the Muppet Show. I think about doing that a lot. Make the perfect intro, pick all like the best episodes, and make like 2 seasons of.
Oh,
pure
not
Muppet
just,
Show.
I see what you mean. Not just making like a perfect episode of The Muppet Show,
Yeah.
but making a perfect 2 seasons out of this 5 seasons.
Yeah.
I've thought about that with certain bands who, like, for instance, years ago at this point, Green Day released a trio of albums in the same year. And listening to them, I was like, there is one great album in here that you spread out and mixed in with a bunch of other mediocre songs. So I've thought that same thing where it's like, I want to go through these 3 albums and like cut down to a perfect playlist of a great album. And that to me sounds pretty easy. Doing that with the Muppet Show sounds torturous.
Well, I don't even know how I guess I'd have to pirate the Muppet Show.
You'd have to pirate 5 seasons of the Muppet Show and then rewatch all of them, and like probably multiple times to determine what you like better than other things.
Yeah, I think I could do a first watch through where I'm just like delete, delete, delete. Like I could cut them out pretty fast, I think, and I think I could go skit by skit and be like, we don't need that, we don't need that. I think I could do that part where it's just like, oh yeah, I remember this. This was bullshit. This was the one where they're in the French cafe and it doesn't make any sense.
That's maybe my least favorite thing we've seen.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of
too.
offensive things or stereotypical things that like obviously have their own issues, but as far as like non-offensive Muppet Show things that just are terrible and I never want to rewatch, that weird French cafe song is definitely near the bottom of the list.
Yeah, but but tons of episodes do have that thing that's like, no, I can't watch this ever again.
Well, and for a portion there in the middle, I feel like it was always the UK spot was the thing where it's like, here, let's sing this old song that only people who were alive in England 100 years ago know. And those were ones where they have been wiped from my brain.
Maybe you'd assume even British people were like, no, we don't like that. Please stop doing that.
And you're like, oh, yeah, my grandma loved this song.
She's been dead for 100 years. I guess 100.
I was going to say.
I don't know how old I am.
The generations are a little wonky there if the grandma has been dead for 100 years. But, But yeah, I don't think I will necessarily miss the Muppet Show in the short term. I feel like we might get into an era maybe in the late 90s. I don't know, somewhere in the 90s. I feel like we're going to be maybe wishing we had some Muppet Show to watch.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me now of why Muppet Show best of compilations were so popular, because there's so many good things spread throughout this that I think watching the sketches on a best of VHS is sort of the best way to enjoy the Muppet Show.
Or week to week in 1980, like 1975 through 1981 or whatever, when you just that was what you did. And
one small piece of barely news, there was a Muppet cameo in She-Hulk this past week.
Oh yeah, she's watching Great Muppet Caper.
Yeah. Which is an interesting choice that she's just sitting there watching Miss Piggy.
Because Miss Piggy's a strong lady, you know?
Yeah, but it does come completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's her comfort movie, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. I said to Rachel, you're at your lowest when you're watching the Muppets. That's truly when you're down in the dumps.
Which is apparently just our entire lives now.
Yeah.
Well, how about we get into talking about the end of the Muppet Show, Sam? And you can tell the people what we watched this week.
On May 30th, 1981, legendary Spanish ventriloquist Señor Wences is the star of The Muppet Show, and Kermit decides that, in his honor, tonight's episode will have a bold and experimental theme, puppets. So we got Pinocchio, we got the Swedish chef making food puppets, we got Boone Raku Master Bruce Schwartz back at it again, and of course, we get a number of Señor Wences routines. Throughout the episode, Fozzie is trying to get in on the show with a dancing clown marionette act of his own, but as soon as he gets on stage, the clown rebels and pulls Fozzie down from the rafters, and then eventually turns Fozzie into a living marionette. Happy Halloween.
It is somewhat grotesque.
Yeah. Fozzie likes it, though. Doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a little bit of like a Hellraiser scene for me, where he's just got all these strings hanging off of him, and he's like, Kermit, look at me!
Yeah. Yeah, Fozzie comes out and says, Jesus wept. And then it's pulled into a million pieces.
I'm just fur, so it wouldn't be quite as bad, but
I wish I could do Fozzie's voice. So I could
saying
say
Jesus wept.
it. Yeah. Standout moments include Señor Wences, who I was totally enchanted by. His act is so chaotic and also so, like, pure and perfect, in my opinion. And it's also fun when a ludicrously old man is on The Muppet Show. Or it's just like when old people in general are on The Muppet Show. I find it so charming. There are also backstage scenes where Kermit, Gonzo, and Fozzie are just hanging out and shooting the shit, and I always like those. And it's also fun that puppets are the one thing too perverse for Gonzo. He's disgusted by the concept. Wenceslo Moreno Centino, aka Señor Wences, was a vaudevillian and ventriloquist. He came to the U.S. in the early 30s and played nightclubs until Ed Sullivan took a liking to him and had him on his show 48 times starting in like 1952. There's not really like a ton else about him on his Wikipedia that I was very surprised about that. But I bet there's like a big long book chronicling his entire life out there somewhere. And he died in 1999 at the age of 103.
Wowza.
Next, chronologically, we watched an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which aired on June 3rd, 1981, that featured a guest appearance by Big Bird. But first, Chef Brockett has to stop by to tell Fred a long, boring story about how he lost a cake decorating competition. After that, Mr. McFeely brings a giraffe costume by, and Mr. Rogers tells the children that there's a person pretending to be an animal inside of all costumes like that, just in time to go to the land of make-believe and meet Big Bird, who we now know is just a sweaty man in a suit. With that in mind, we watch X the Owl prepare for Big Bird's arrival by writing him a poem and gushing about him to Henrietta Pussycat, who gets jealous and lashes out when Big Bird shows up. Big Bird settles their beef by saying that he's just passing through to participate in a big art contest at the castle. So he goes off and does that, and enters a piece. Got a little confused at this part. Enters a piece that is apparently too large and breaks the rules of the art contest, at least according to the horrible Lady Elaine, who has also entered the contest to win the prize, which is all the gold in the world. But apparently that is not actually the prize, and I'm not sure that they say what the actual prize is. And then a man talks to a trolley for a while about being in love. What's the prize? Do they ever say?
Yeah, we'll get more into it when we talk about this episode.
Okay. They do say what the prize is, though. Is it getting to go to his bubble room? Is that the prize?
No.
What's the bubble room? I feel like King Friday's got some real shit cooking in the castle. Weird place. Next, singer and songwriter Mellisa Manchester joins the Muppets on June 8th for what would be, at least in New York City, the last new episode of The Muppet Show ever aired. I think there's a loose plot here, as Kermit is a little bit more worried about the show falling apart than he usually is, but mostly it's almost as standard an episode of The Muppet Show as you can get. Like, there are acts, and some of them go mildly awry to humorous effect. Mellisa sings a bunch of songs, and that's pretty much it. Goodbye, Muppet Show. A standout throughout this episode to me was that there was sort of an interesting variety of acts, including lots of little short ones like some birds playing a guitar very cutely. And lots of the acts were like very visually distinct and interesting. Even Melissa's opening number, which featured the return of the horrible bug-eyed clowns from the Judy Collins episode. What a terrible surprise for the last episode of The Muppet Show.
Like, I guess we gotta roll these back out before they go into a burning dumpster.
Oh, these are about to expire. And then we have to throw them in the boiler. And it just had like good pacing, I thought. It had pacing that reminded me of the variety show episode from last time we talked about The Muppet Show. And I can't remember who the guest was. Wally Bogue. Even if the backstage stuff was a little bit weak, I thought like the pacing was good. And the Whenever I Call You Friend musical number was also, I liked that. I thought it was interesting. Number one, because I like that song. And number two, because it was an All the Muppets Wander In to Sing a Song act that worked for me for like the first time ever. And maybe it's just because like it's a good sing-along song. I'm not really sure what the reason was, but I liked this one. And even Pigs in Space and the Newsmen were okay. So kind of just a nice, gentle send-off. Mellisa Manchester's career started in 1973 with her debut album, and then she started hitting the Billboard charts 2 years later and has been a successful singer and songwriter ever since. In 1977, she co-wrote Whenever I Call You Friend with Kenny Loggins, which he would sing as a duet with Stevie Nicks in 1978. And in 1979, her cover of Don't Cry Out Loud, which was heard in this episode, netted her a Grammy nomination. Then after this in 1982, her song You Should Hear How She Talks About You won her a Grammy. So you know what? She was doing pretty dang good in this period of time. And she continues to do pretty dang good because she still releases albums and tours regularly. And finally, we watched a bunch of promo spots for episodes of The Muppet Show that played on British and American TV just at the time. They mostly portray Kermit trying to say what the episode is and Fozzie fucking with him somehow. But some of them also include little plot snippets, which I thought was interesting. Like in the promo, for whatever episode it is where Gonzo's moving to Bombay. I don't remember which one that is. The promo, Gonzo comes out and says, I'm quitting. So it's like there's a little bit of plot snuck in there. And sometimes other characters like Statler and Waldorf also did the promos. So yeah, there were just a few of those. Then outside of this in the Muppet world, just because it's like a very important world event, I have to mention that the first recognized cases of AIDS were diagnosed in Los Angeles, which will sort of define part of the 80s.
Well, we should probably maybe get Mr. Rogers out of the way so we can wrap up the Muppet Show here. What'd you think of this episode of Mr. Rogers, Sam?
I don't know. What is there to think about Mr. Rogers? I think every episode's exactly the same, probably.
Yeah, and I think that for me is just, I haven't watched an episode of Mr. Rogers in a very long time.
No, me either.
So going back to this, there were certain things that I was like, oh, that's how that worked? Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I didn't know he had Chef, what's his name? Chef Brockett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know people came to his house and talked to him. Except Mr. McFeely.
Right. I knew Mr. McFeely would always come over, but I did not know about Chef Brockett at all. It turns out also Chef Brockett, played by Don Brockett, an actor who was also in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was maybe a real chef they found, but I guess not.
I think he's just an actor, but he's the guy. This is a very specific, gross reference. But he is the guy, not the one who's masturbating when Clarice walks through the jail cells, but he's the one that after the guy is masturbating yells, Megs, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's Chef Brockett.
Not the masturbating guy, the other guy.
The other guy. The guy who
I
yells.
have a Funko Pop of him.
But yeah, that's Chef Brockett. What else? Okay. That's the other thing he's up to.
He gets arrested later on after this appearance. He gets really worked up about losing this cake competition.
He started throwing all the cakes. That's the part he didn't tell Mr. Rogers about.
Yeah, now the FBI is after me.
But yeah, I think part of the confusion of this episode is because Mr. Rogers aired every weekday, like during the week, and so the plots were spread out over a week of episodes.
Okay.
So this entire week was about competition, and so this art competition that they're competing in spread throughout this entire week of episodes.
Oh, other characters are entering their art in the competition, and then King Friday, on Friday's episode, says, here's who won, or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we are getting, the middle of this plot line from, I think, the Wednesday episode, maybe, of that week. And this is the only one Big Bird shows up in. So, Big Bird just shows up to drop off his art and then bails. But that's why it's a little unclear of what the prize is. Why is there no winner in this? Why did Big Bird just go okay, I dropped off my art.
See you later.
We don't get to see a wrap up to the story.
Okay.
So yes.
It's like a soap opera.
Exactly like a soap opera.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently Anna Platypus wins a couple days later. Spoiler alert. Okay. And the prize was a rainbow.
Oh, so he's dropping little hints throughout the week about what the prize is.
Yes.
I don't know why Lady Elaine would think the prize is something that's many colors. I don't know why she would think gold, something that's famously named after, a color is named after gold.
It is one color.
Yeah, it is color gold.
But apparently there's also some drama surrounding this episode, which you sort of alluded to when you mentioned the giraffe costume section, because apparently Carol Spinney and Fred Rogers had some disagreements over how this episode should be handled. When Carol Spinney got the script for the show, it said that he was supposed to remove his costume and show kids how the Big Bird puppet works, at Mr. Rogers' house. But Carol Spinney didn't want to ruin the illusion of Big Bird for children, who apparently just weren't watching the Dick Cavett show, probably.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rogers said, you know what, this is okay, but only if Big Bird only shows up in the neighborhood of make-believe, which is why Big Bird is relegated to the fantasy land.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rogers, and these are Muppet Wiki's words here, quote, didn't believe in perpetuating the deceitful blur of real and pretend to children that occurred when presenting the characters as real in the real world. And then Carol Spinney later said at some of his book signings that he and Fred argued on the phone for like 20 minutes over whether or not to tell the kids how Big Bird is performed. And so apparently the section of this episode where Mr. McFeely brings over a giraffe costume that he's delivering to somebody else, not to Mr. Rogers, and stops to show Mr. Rogers, and then Mr. Rogers puts
That's
it on.
mail fraud, Mr. Rogers, first of all.
That's all Mr. McFeely does on this show, is he brings Mr. Rogers
He just shows some stuff
other people's
people are
packages. He's like,
mailing.
hey, look at this cool thing I'm bringing over to Martha. You want to play with it first? Everything that's delivered in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood has been used by Mr. Rogers.
By Mr. Rogers.
But yes, Mr. Rogers puts on this big giraffe costume and says, quote, when you see big make-believe creatures in parades or in plays or on television, you can know that the people inside are just pretending to be something else. And that's apparently sort of a
Here's your
dig.
Hero, Big Bird.
Yeah.
It feels very pointed, which is obviously on purpose, but it's like, come on, man. Don't blow up a spot.
Yeah, it's interesting to imagine. I can imagine Carol Spinney being a little like angry of a man, but imagine like Fred Rogers arguing with Carol Spinney on the phone.
He's probably so annoying to argue with too, because he's probably just like, "No, I understand your point."
Now,
but...
Carol.
Yeah, he probably never like. You can't get that guy to bend. He's too calm.
No, his heartbeat's always like at 75, resting and angry.
Yeah. I don't know whose side I fall. I feel like there is a value to having just one show that explains this. Maybe.
I think so much of Mr. Rogers also, it does show a lot of the behind the scenes to kids and reveal like how crayons are made. Here's how these things are made. And so he's revealing a lot of that stuff to kids to educate them. And so I feel like it does make sense that he wouldn't, like, I don't know, he wouldn't want to trick kids into believing that there are actually 8 foot tall talking birds.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also, the magic of Sesame Street is that these things are believable and...
Yeah, and hanging out with real people all the time.
Yeah, but apparently Mr. Rogers was not a fan of Sesame Street, maybe.
I would imagine also that Carol Spinney might not have the final say on if Big Bird takes his suit off or not. I would think that would be Children's Television Workshop would be like, That seems more likely to me than him screaming at Mr. Rogers in person, like one-on-one. I'm sure that must have happened, but...
Yeah, but I bet Carol also had a lot of pull back in the day.
Yeah,
when they
that
only
makes
had
sense.
one Big Bird. It's like, well, Carol can't quit, and we can't really fire him, so
Yeah.
he gets to
But
do what he wants.
I would think like the suits would not want Big Bird taking off his outfit on another PBS show.
Maybe there's an outtake from when Mr. Rogers was on Sesame Street where he just like peers into Big Bird.
He pulls
and
Big Bird's head
like,
off.
I know you're in there, Carol.
I see you in there, Carol. Stop lying to the kids. He pantses them. It's just Carol's jeans.
Oh, just Big Bird with jeans.
He'd look cool with jeans. Would they go over his pear? Or would they just go straight under?
Oh, they'd probably go over his pair. He'd be like Homer Simpson.
Exactly. Yeah.
How does Big Bird wear pants?
Or is the pear just poof? Is Big Bird's probably very skinny under there, just like all birds are,
I guess the question is, where is Big Bird's waist?
Yeah.
Is that is his waist mid bulge?
Or is that plumage?
Yeah, and is that all above his waist, and his waist is hidden underneath there where Carol's
Yeah.
waist would be?
Show us naked Big Bird, you cowards. We need Big Bird's skeleton.
I think the fact that, when Carol bends over as Big Bird, he's bending from his waist.
Yeah.
So I think we have to assume that Big Bird's waist is where Carol's waist is. So I think if he was wearing pants, they would just cover his legs, not his plumage.
And then somewhere up and under that is where Big Bird's crotch is. Like real Big Bird's crotch is under there.
I don't know if birds technically have a crotch.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know what they have. They have a cloaca.
Yeah,
so they
the most
can
common
pretty much-
word said on this podcast, I think outside of Kermit the Frog, is cloaca.
Big Bird's cloaca. Let's really stop to consider it.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to dive into Chef Brockett's cake contest that he went to in the middle of a mall.
In a beautiful, beautiful 80s mall.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there so badly.
In front of a Spencer's Gifts in the background.
Yeah.
And
it shows like this beautiful mall skylight at the beginning.
Which he calls out. He specifically says it was under this big skylight.
Yeah.
Painting a picture for Mr. Rogers, who couldn't be there. It feels a bit like Chef Brockett's just interrupting an actual cake contest.
Yeah.
Because
in his big chef costume, like he's making fun of all these other chefs.
Yeah, because like the other chefs either are fantastic actors or were actually entering a cake contest. Because when the prizes are handed out at the end, the people winning them seem genuinely happy.
Yeah, yeah. It must have been a real cake contest at a real mall.
And they were like, hey.
Maybe at the Mall of America. Where did they film
No,
this?
it's in Pennsylvania somewhere. In the Pittsburgh area, I believe.
Okay.
Just like the Muppet Theater. But he did seem to maybe interrupt this cake contest, but also knows everyone's name.
Yeah.
It's a very bizarre scenario.
And it is a weird, like, he's like, oh, I got to see people I know. And then it shows him being like, oh, hey there, Tony. And the people who he knows are just like, yeah, hey. Like, they clearly have no idea who this man is. Chef Brockett's living in a fantasy world.
They're like, okay, you clearly own a bakery in this neighborhood. Are you allowed to enter this amateur cake making contest? That feels unfair.
Yeah.
But
we kicked you out last year. You're not supposed to be here.
Well, maybe that's why he didn't win a dang thing, Sam. Not even an honorable mention.
No, that was pretty heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, I was waiting because they were like, okay, we got a couple honorable mentions, and then third place. I was waiting. I assumed he was going to win third or second place.
Yeah.
But nothing. He didn't win anything.
No, did not place.
So instead, Mr. Rogers cheers him up by, showing him a cool painting that his friend did.
Yeah. Look at my talented friend, unlike you.
Yeah, look at my extremely talented artist friend who's very famous now.
Is that guy really very famous? That painter?
I don't know. I didn't look him up. He's not really in the episode. He's
Yeah,
only in a
I thought you knew
flashback.
something I didn't know. Yeah.
That's just the way Mr. Rogers talks about him, is that, like, he visited the show a long time ago, and now he's a famous painter.
This painting's worth a lot of money, kids.
One of the things we learned in this episode, the best way to look at a painting is pretend that you're there in the painting, which
That's what they teach you in art school.
I had never thought about once.
No, me either.
But now I might try it. Like, oh, Starry Night. This would be wild, huh?
Whoa, yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's an interesting method.
The Mona
Mostly
Lisa.
what they teach
hey,
you.
what's up, Mona?
Hubba, hubba.
I'm very close to your face, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that's when Mr. McFeely drops by to commit mail fraud and drops off a gift for Mr. Rogers to play with that is somebody else's giraffe costume that they're wearing in a parade.
Yeah.
And then we go back inside, and something that only occurred to me for the very first time as we're about to head into the land of make-believe and meet Big Bird here. Mr. Rogers controls the trolley? I know that somebody has to control the trolley, but why does it have to be the guy who's sitting there on camera?
I do remember that from my childhood. I
Really?
think it's just fun, probably. Yeah.
I guess, but man, I thought that was for me, like, I did not have a memory of Mr. Rogers being the one who was like toggling the switch back and forth.
Yeah. I had a sense memory of seeing him toggle that little switch and maybe thinking as a child, I wish I could touch that little switch.
You could set up a little trolley behind you in your office.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Have a little
Just
switch
around the-
on your desk
around the
that, like,
top.
when you're in a meeting, you just like toggle it and just like toot
Toot,
toot.
toot. Yeah, a little smoke coming out the thing, so I guess. But let's talk about business, please. Pay no attention to the train. It's my thinking train.
That's when I need to go into my own personal land of make believe and
Yeah.
conjure up my creativity. But yes, Big Bird enters the land of make believe to hang out with his friend X the Owl. Who, there's a moment in here where Queen Sarah is freaked out that a giant bird is coming to town. And she's like, how big is he really? A bird bigger than me? And my first thought was, X the Owl is bigger than you, Queen Sarah.
Yeah, she's pretty tiny.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
But he is, to them, Godzilla-sized. Big Bird is.
That's very true.
But so's that man, the mechanic guy. Or
Yeah, he could destroy their castle easily.
Oh, yeah, just push it right over.
And then, yeah, Big Bird has a conversation with both X the Owl and Henrietta, trying to cheer up Henrietta because Henrietta is afraid she's losing X the Owl to Big Bird.
Are they in love? What's going on there?
I think they're just best friends.
Okay.
I can't, because Mr. Rogers does so many voices of the puppets in the land of make-believe, obviously sometimes he can't control both characters in the scene because they're far apart from each other.
Uh-huh.
But in that one, I think he might be
He's
just
like
like behind a tree
Yeah.
with both of his hands out through different holes, like interacting with each other.
Yeah. And being, hello, I'm girl, Mr. Rogers. Oh, hello, I'm nerdy boy, Mr. Rogers.
I'm pretty much just Mr. Rogers, but an owl. But that's when Lady Elaine Fairchild tries to trick Big Bird into thinking his picture is too big for the contest.
You know what? They got the idea for Wario from Lady Elaine. She loves gold. And the idea for Goldmember
So both Wario and Goldmember.
from Lady Elaine.
I mean, I won't point out that Goldfinger came out about 20 years before this episode of Mr. Rogers.
Inadmissible.
Okay, case dismissed. But then, as we alluded to, it sort of just fizzles out as Big Bird is invited into the castle for a visit. The contest does not end, and we just are returned back to Mr. Rogers' house, where suddenly he starts singing a song teaching kids that they will not be replaced by their baby sibling.
Yeah.
It's very odd how
It's very odd.
this part of this is tied to when Henrietta is afraid she's being replaced as X's friend,
Mm-hmm.
which is not really like the big note they hit near the end of that make-believe segment.
Yeah.
And so to try and revert back to that and then turn it into a different lesson about something that no one has talked about in this episode was a bit bizarre.
Yeah, they really go off on a tear with the whole submitting art to the art contest thing, which has no less discernible lesson, really.
But yeah, overall, pretty good, peaceful episode of Mr. Rogers. That, it's just like every other episode of Mr. Rogers.
The music in Mr. Rogers is so great, though.
Mm.
It's like Charlie Brown Christmas special kind of music, Is
Yeah.
there I imagine there's somebody like playing along with it or something.
Probably, because it doesn't feel... I don't know. I could see that being one of the instances where like the piano guy is just off stage, just
Yeah,
tinkling along.
yeah. I was really into the music this time.
I don't think I could do like a whole season of Mr. Rogers.
No, like a Mr. Rogers Kermitment. I think that would be tough. I think we'd fall asleep every time, probably.
I mean, I watched it this morning at, I'm going to say 6 o'clock in the morning
Uh-huh.
this morning.
Wow, you wake up early, huh?
I woke up early because there was an F1 race that was supposed to start at 6 a.m. And then there was a rain delay of an hour. And so I woke up at 5:45 for no reason.
Did you get to watch your race?
Eventually, yes. But
Okay.
in the rain delay time, I was like, I guess I'll watch that episode of Mr. Rogers this morning. So I,
For the second time or the first time?
first time, I was procrastinating.
Cutting it close, huh? But the morning's a great time to watch Mr. Rogers. I watched it at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was not as good a time.
Wait,
It
like
was a
this
little
morning?
eerie. Yeah, yeah.
So you
Last
were up
night.
watching Mr. Rogers like 4.5 hours before I woke up.
Yeah, I watched it first, so who are you to judge?
Well, I think that does it for our Mr. Rogers discussion. We can move on to the promos for the
Will we
Muppet
ever
Show.
see Mr. Rogers again in the context of this show?
I don't think so.
Au revoir. It's a day of endings.
But getting into the Muppet Show TV promos here, Sam captured most of what's going on in these in his summary, but there are a few things I'd like to point out that I enjoyed or just thought were interesting throughout these. One, they kept calling it a family program throughout, which I think makes sense. This is aired in prime time on like network TV in some places, so it makes sense they would want to really push this is a family program. But I also wonder if that sort of makes people think it's more of a kid's show, or is it one for the whole family? Like, I'm not sure what the language of calling it a family program really does for the Muppet Show. And there's a clip in here that I'm pretty sure is from the unaired version of the pilot that we
Yes, I
have
wrote
never
this down,
seen.
too. Was it Fozzie doing something?
Yeah, so Kermit is seen talking into the speaker backstage saying, "Muppet players to the stage." And Fozzie walks up with his deep John Wayne-ish voice and is like, "Am I a Muppet player?" and,
Yeah, it's a good thing they changed that.
yeah, and that's not in the Juliet Prowse episode, which is the episode where they reshot some stuff to change Fozzie's voice. And that's instead, I think, the moment where we get Fozzie walking up to Kermit and saying, like, "Does this John Wayne impression sound okay?" or whatever he says.
Right.
And so I think that's that was replacing that moment. But yeah, so we got to see a little snippet of the unaired pilot there.
And I liked the this brought me back to the Wilkins and Wontkins days, kind of, when it was just like two characters talking to the screen and one of them explodes. Like Kermit explodes at one point, doesn't he?
Yes, there is an explosion near the end of one of these.
Yeah.
It does seem like a place where they got to let loose and do just whatever they wanted. I'm assuming this is probably a thing where at the end of a long week of filming, they had to go record 10 of these or something and just knock them out.
Yeah, they were really fun. It made me really wish we could see all of them for all of the episodes. 'Cause I'm sure there's lots of good little nuggets hidden in there.
Yeah, we only saw 11 minutes of promotion that covered most of the seasons, and you have to imagine this was happening for every episode over the 6 years this show existed. And so there's
and
a lot of
these
these
other
out
things
there.
like Gonzo coming out and saying, "I'm quitting." There probably was other stuff like that sprinkled in.
Yeah.
That one made me laugh so hard when he comes out, and then Kermit's like, "And Gonzo's quitting," and they both go, "Yay!"
Yeah. There's also one where Fozzie is crying throughout, and when Kermit asks him what's wrong, he's like, "I just love promos."
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, this definitely had a big also like Frank is being very annoying right now kind of energy to it.
Yeah, at one point Fozzie is tickling Kermit as Kermit's trying to get through his promotion. There's one
I think
where
there's 3 times he's tickling Kermit. That's kind of one they returned to a lot.
Well, you have to imagine, too, that they filmed some of these for different TV stations, so they can reuse those because they know people aren't going to see the same thing over and over.
Or they did one 4 years after they did the other one.
Yeah, and they forgot.
Forgot he tickled.
But yeah, Fozzie grabs Kermit at one point and wipes his hands off because Kermit was apparently slimy. I had 2 favorites, which were both sort of near the end of the compilation. One, Kermit is standing behind Fozzie, saying his lines, and Fozzie is trying to mouth along and pretend that the voice is coming from him. And
at the end they say, that was stupid.
Yeah. And then another one, Fozzie is licking a plate throughout the entire one. And then when Kermit sort of checks in to see what he's doing, he looks at the plate and he's like, "Want some honey?" And Kermit says, "No thanks, sweetheart."
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah.
It's fun. They just walked around. They were like, "What do we got? What props do we got? We got this phone. We got this plate. What can I do with a plate? It's 12:30 at night. I just want to go home."
I feel like Frank Oz maybe didn't even know what he was going to be saying when he just started Fozzie licking a plate.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I really like these. Like I said, it showed the Lola Falana episode with the greatest dancer, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks fun. But I know I didn't like.
I was going to say you did not like that at all.
Or Liberace dancing, and I was like, oh yeah, this Liberace episode looks fun. But I didn't love that. It was kind of boring. But it would have tricked me every week into watching the Muppet Show, I think, if I had seen those.
And again, maybe watching the Muppet Show 1 episode a week is the ideal way to watch the Muppet Show.
Yeah, and not being like, well, actually, 10 episodes ago, Link said that he couldn't speak Spanish, and in this episode he is speaking Spanish.
What we're saying is rewatch podcasts are terrible.
Don't be like us. Yeah.
Try to enjoy your media and not just critique it every hour of the day. But keep listening to us do it, please.
Yeah.
And speaking of critiquing media, it's time to get into those last 2 episodes of The Muppet Show, which I kind of wish were flipped in the order that they aired.
Me too.
It
the
would
Señor Wences one would have been a great blowout.
It's a great finale for The Muppet Show that ended up not being a finale for The Muppet Show. But it is the first one we are going to talk about because it aired on May 30th, 1981. Sam, what would you rate this episode out of 5?
This is a hard one for me. I gave it
Interesting.
3.5 stars.
Wowza.
There's parts of it I really liked, but I think the Bruce Schwartz part just was I don't know. I think it's boring. What'd you rate it?
I gave this a full 5 stars, Sam.
That I was really torn between 3.5 stars or 5 stars.
Well,
it's going to be one or the other.
I hate to tell you, Sam, there are some numbers between those two if you wanted to go for a 4.
Señor Wences is 5 stars.
But Bruce is a 2.
Everything else is less in varying degrees. And then there's just kind of a confusing part later that we'll talk about when we get to it.
All right. Well, jumping into the episode here, it was noted on Jim's Red Book, the sort of journal, website, blog thing that the Henson Company has put together, that, quote, Jim treated Señor Wences with respect and provided an opportunity for the aging star to perform his act with his most memorable characters, Johnny and Pedro, without the interruption of the Muppets. So I think that was a very purposeful move that the Muppets do not interact with Señor Wences when he's doing his classic bits.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what they did with Wally Bogue, too. He just got to do his bits. And even Steve Martin kind of was also like that.
Yeah, which I don't mind, especially because Señor Wences does get some good moments with the Muppets in this. But yeah, that one, I think his act also holds up surprisingly well.
His act's fucking hilarious, so
I was
it's okay.
so shocked at how much I enjoyed him as an act. I was really
It was
ready
so
for like,
funny.
okay, this like 84-year-old ventriloquist. I remember at the Edgar Bergen episode, which I didn't love.
Yeah.
And I was kind of prepared for another Edgar Bergen.
Yeah.
And
His act is truly kind of demented, though. He's got a head in a box. Just like, Johnny's, his hand is so wrinkly that Johnny is just really terrifying.
Oh, when Johnny sticks his tongue out, and it's like Señor Wences' thumb oozing out of his hand.
Yeah. Or like he's like, open your mouth, and Johnny like unhinges his
He's
jaw.
like, too far.
Yeah, don't do that. But when he's talking to both of them at the same time and spinning that plate, and the head in the box is like cranky, and they both have different personalities. And the head in the box, I love that guy.
Well, to open up the episode, which kept me on my toes a little bit because I thought it was like, this could still stay pretty low on my list, is Señor Wences' cold open with Pops. Is he pretty much just comes in, grabs a few oranges, and juggles them.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
And there's no joke or nothing.
No. And so I was like, all right, buckle up. But then
This man's going to juggle oranges for 35 minutes.
But then I was pleasantly surprised by something that was actually fun and different with the intro here. When Kermit pops into the O to do his little this week's guest announcement, he comes in from the side and like swoops down to the middle. And it was like,
And the laugh track's loving it. They crack up at that.
well, there's a cute little slide whistle noise too. So he's like,
Yeah.
whoop, Señor Wences.
Yeah. Kermit's having a little fun with that. He's excited.
Well, of course he's excited, Sam, because it's a change of pace. They're going to switch things around. Tonight, it is a puppet show.
Yeah. It would have been such a great last episode theme to hang the lampshade on that.
But we open up with a Pinocchio sketch where Pops has conned his way on stage to play Geppetto.
He doesn't have any lines or anything, so.
I mean, he'll make up for it later on in the Melissa Manchester episode. But in this one, he is just Geppetto with a very Bean Bunny-inspired Pinocchio here on the table. I guess Pinocchio came first, so not Bean Bunny-inspired, but sure sounds a lot like Bean Bunny thanks to Steve Whitmire's performance here.
Halfway there to Bean Bunny. Kind of similar outfit, similar attitude.
But we also, then in Geppetto's shop here, we see the return of the Miss Piggy Judy puppet from the Punch and Judy thing that happened in the Paul Simon episode, which was filmed after this. So they would have made the puppets for this puppet episode and then decided to reuse them for the Paul Simon episode.
Huh. I got to tell you, this song is so the song is Puppet Man. Too sexy a song to sing to your dad.
I would agree. Yeah, it's a little weirdly romantic.
You can't say, Dad, I'm your sweet pet.
Not allowed.
No.
Yeah, no, I understand the idea of taking a song on the Muppet Show and making it literal and going, hey, we have a song called Puppet Man. We have a Pinocchio puppet. Let's sing Puppet Man. This will work out perfectly. And then, like, no one reviewed the lyrics. And there's like, should we really be doing this?
He says daddy, daddy a lot, doesn't he?
Because this is a Tom Jones song that he sings to a lady. And when he is singing, Puppet Man, baby, I'm your puppet man. Yeah, I might even, if you pull my string, I'll do anything.
Yeah, what do you think his string is, guys, on the Muppet Show? Come on.
Yeah, I'm just really reading through the lyrics of Puppet Man now, where I think this part is not on the Muppet Show, but it says, baby, baby, I'm warning you, satisfaction guaranteed. Anytime you feel uptight, I'm at your service morning, noon, or night.
Yeah, I don't think that part. I think they did cut that
I think they cut that
out.
part out pretty wisely. But it's also a little confusing in this number to figure out what's supposed to be a puppet, since, you know.
Those bunnies have been real before.
Yeah, and everything on this show's a puppet. So when you're trying to draw a line between here are the puppets that are coming to life in Geppetto's shop, and here are puppets that are not puppets because they're Muppets, it's a little confusing.
In this world, marionettes and ventriloquist dummies are still puppets. To some extent. Except when they come to life and turn you into a ventriloquist or a marionette.
Cutting backstage, this is where we find out that Gonzo doesn't even know what a puppet is. And when he does find out, he is absolutely disgusted. Kermit and Fozzie describe puppets as a doll that's made to look alive through the use of hands and strings. And Gonzo says, well, who wants to watch dolls wiggle?
And Fozzie and Kermit know that they're puppets, is the implication here.
Yeah, because as Gonzo walks away, Kermit says, I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Yeah. Gonzo does make sense as the one who'd like transcend into real. He's the most real guy of all Muppets. He'd take it pretty hard, I think, if he knew he wasn't real.
This is why he's so distraught at not knowing where he comes from later on in Muppets from Space. Is that
they're all in on it, and they're like, we were sewn in a shop. He's just like, where? What are we?
I must be an alien.
Yeah.
But then Kermit introduces Señor Wences for his first performance. And guess what? Señor Wences, he's a damn good ventriloquist.
He's so fucking good. And the way that he would do their voices as he was like breathing in. Oh my gosh, it was great.
The highlight of this is he has Johnny, which is his hand with eyeballs painted on it, singing a song. And while Johnny is singing the song, he shoves a rag in Johnny's mouth, and then he starts smoking a cigarette. And this entire time, Johnny is still singing in a muffled voice because obviously he's got a rag in his mouth.
It's beautiful.
And it's completely believable. Every step of it. You're like, I am astonished. Like, it was like when we watched Sherry Lewis singing with Lamb Chop, and just the bouncing back and forth so fast, of like understanding how her brain works in that moment. This was exactly like that for me, when he is doing his plate spinning and all these other things, he's jumping back and forth between Johnny and Pedro at his own voice seamlessly, which again, I know he's been doing this for 70 years or whatever.
1935. Yeah.
But he's just so good.
I think he joined the circus when he was 15, so I think he'd been doing it since then.
Yeah, then he ends up, he's spinning some metal plates, which is just one of those, it feels like he's showing off at this point. Like,
he's a vaudevillian guy. That's what they gotta do.
I was already impressed, though, by Johnny and Pedro. I didn't need you spinning plates, dude.
That's fair.
No, he's an extremely charming man who does a very good job of what he's doing. And I think that was sort of the disconnect for me with Edgar Bergen, who was not a very good ventriloquist when it comes to the whole thing of convincingly making your puppets talk and not moving your mouth.
He could play another character really well. He just, and he could have conversations with himself, but he certainly wasn't waiting till he inhaled to do the voice of his character, so it was completely seamless.
Yeah. And then it's time for a vet's hospital, which opens up with Piggy mouthing along to the announcer's lines. The announcer catches wind of this and stops mid-announcement, and Piggy is left to look like a fool.
This would have been another great, like, last vet's hospital moment.
Yeah, no, this whole episode serves as, like, the perfect ending to me of the Muppet Show. But Pinocchio is back. He is in the hospital, ready for a nose job. And there's a joke in here that I had to ask Twitter about because I had no freaking clue what was going on. Ralph cracks a joke of, how did his nose get so long? Was his mother frightened by the Concorde?
Okay, what does it mean?
So it seems like this was just sort of a standard joke structure back in the day, saying like, basically your mom was frightened by something and that made you have a certain characteristic. So in Annie Get Your Gun, there's a lyric that says, oh, my mother was frightened by a shotgun, they say. That's why I'm such a wonderful shot. So the fact that the Concorde has this sort of like droopy long nose on the front of the plane, and the Concorde scared his mom, so he has a long nose.
Okay, that's sweaty.
I think so, but it obviously would have made more sense to people at the time.
Also, somebody told you that it was a Shakespeare reference, right? In the comments?
That was just a joke.
Okay, because I was Googling that and I was like, Shakespeare ain't said shit about that.
No, that was just somebody messing with us.
Okay.
Back on stage, it is time for the Swedish chef to show us some bread lump puppetry.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cute.
I was also trying to figure out if it was like a play on words or something. The way Kermit introduced Swedish bread lump puppetry, to me, I was like, is there an actual form of puppetry that this sounds like? But obviously that's extremely hard to Google.
I think it was just like almost a play on like, oh, here's Bun Raku later, or Bun Raku later. I think he was just pretending really hard that it was like a real thing. Yeah. In this world, it is a real thing.
Well, he convinced me, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Swedish chef just does a nice little, finger puppet dancing to the boots are made for walking So
This was what, like, the only time when Swedish Chef was over that I was like, oh, I actually would have liked that to be longer and seen more different types of food puppets. I think that could have been cute.
well, yeah, the other lump of bread could have come alive or something and started dancing with his hand. I don't know. You got some options, but it was a very brief segment. But then back in Señor Wences' dressing room, New Zealand's hanging out. And he's come back to basically just tell Señor Wences his phone is broken.
Yeah.
Which I guess if we're talking about sweaty premises, this one's a little sweaty as well.
Uh-huh.
But Señor Wences says, no, my phone's working just fine. And picks it up to show Lou and shows off some more ventriloquist skills by pretending to be the voice coming through the phone. Very convincingly, I would say.
Is this where phones sounding like that comes from? Like, did he invent that?
What?
You know, like in cartoons when it's like...
That's just how
Is
phones
that from him?
sounded, Sam.
I think he made that. I think he invented that.
I think you're giving a bit too much credit to Señor Wences right now.
I think he deserves all the credit in the world. He deserves everything that's due to him.
But then to prove that the phone is actually broken and not working, New Zealand decides to destroy it with a mallet.
Yes.
Which he does all while Señor Wences continues to perform his ventriloquist act.
Yeah, exposing Señor Wences as the liar that he is.
Then there's a delightful little UK spot where Beauregard has gotten his hands on the Punch puppet and the alligator puppet to put on a little Punch and Judy show for Kermit. And just wants to show Kermit his cool puppet show.
And Kermit's kind of having an okay time watching it, too.
Yeah. I put in my notes, this is the best thing Bo's ever done.
Unfortunately, I think I'd have to agree with you that that's probably true.
Even though you didn't like it, it's still the best thing Bo's ever done.
Yeah, the bar is really low. Did you read that this is in American Werewolf in London?
Oh, really?
This is what they're watching on TV when in the dream when the werewolf like Nazis come through and blow his family away.
I guess, good job on the consistency of using a UK spot in the UK.
No, he's from America. Oh, Matt, you blew it wide open. I guess he's dreaming about his life in America because it's his family that gets killed, his American family.
So it's actually...
But he could have just watched that episode of The Muppet Show in the UK, in London, when he's in the hospital. He's been bit by a werewolf. Muppet Show's on TV. That's playing. Who knows?
Well, I guess we'll have to do a bonus episode about that movie now, just to unravel the mystery.
Yeah, I think we need to do a bonus episode about Monsters, Inc. to really get to the bottom of which one's which.
So for those that don't know what Sam's referencing, which is probably most of you right now, on Twitter there was a meme going around that basically said, all podcast hosts look like this or act like this. I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it's Sully and Mike from Monsters, Inc. Basically saying every podcast duo is Sully and Mike. And I reposted this on Kermitment asking people, okay, which one of us is which? And everyone seems to think I'm the Sully. Which...
It's just because you look like him.
How?
You have a beard.
That's it, right?
And he's hairy.
He's furry. I have a beard. That's it.
I have a big head and only one eye. So.
Oh, right. I forgot your Cyclops-ness.
Yeah. I think I haven't seen Monsters, Inc. in a long time, so I'd have to rewatch it. But I think at first blush, it does seem like I would be Mike. But I think I've come around to that. I'm Sully. But why are you Mike?
I think I'm... They both have good and bad personality traits that I wouldn't want to assign to either of us specifically.
Oh, please, lay it on me.
There's things about Mike that I feel like he is the one... The main character trait I remember from Monsters, Inc. is that he's the one who's like filling out the forms and doing a lot of the paperwork and making sure that like Sully can do what he's going to do.
But Sully's in there getting his hands dirty, editing the podcast, you know?
Right. So that's why I look at it as like, okay, that's like my spreadsheet making and my setting up the website and the Patreon and all this jazz, where it's like, I feel like the paperwork guy.
But I guess at the end of it, they sort of have learned to be a little bit more like each other, right?
Right,
like,
which makes a lot of sense. And so it's a
that's
little
maybe
bit...
where I'm getting a little confused.
Yeah, because obviously at the very beginning, when like Sully's just kind of a jerk to sometimes, I don't feel like either of us are that. Mm-hmm. But it's,
He's kind of like a jock, right? A little bit like a jock.
In Monsters University, he's full-on jock.
Yeah,
and,
but even at the beginning of Monsters, Inc., he's still a little bit like, I'm the best one.
Yes.
And Mike is like always dreaming of something more, which I think is also where it's like he's like making up the schemes a little bit more, which I think is the part that I'm like, Oh yeah, I have stupid ideas. like Arden said, I'm more of a dumbass.
Well, I think the best description was that I am a Mike in Sully's clothing, and you are a Sully in Mike's clothing.
I think that makes sense to me.
Which, yeah, sure, that makes sense to me.
Well, now we don't have to do the bonus episode. We've hashed
We just did it.
out.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the podcast within a podcast right there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, a weird thing inside of a weird thing, we've got Bruce Schwartz showing up to perform a
Yeah.
Japanese ghost story with Bunraku puppets.
It was nice, but it was no head in a box and creepy little wrinkly old man hand.
Yeah, I almost feel like this episode needs to be a bigger salute to puppetry and show
Yeah.
off more than just Bruce Schwartz and Señor
They
Wences.
should have brought the shadow puppet guy back too.
Yeah. But instead, because we have 90% of this episode being Señor Wences, and then we get the contrast of Bruce Schwartz, it does
Yeah.
stand out in a bad way just a little bit, even if it is really impressive.
Yeah, it's great and it's beautiful and it's just so different. And I was just like, I want to see more Señor Wences. Show me his funny little hand again, please.
Bring back Johnny!
Yeah.
But yeah, will not be the last we will see of Bruce Schwartz still. There will be a documentary later on called Jim Henson's World of Puppetry that we'll probably give a watch to. And Bruce Schwartz will be in that. So we're still not done with Bruce Schwartz on this podcast, which I do want to look more into Bruce Schwartz because it seems like at a certain point he just decided to stop puppetry. And I found a website that was talking about how they were sort of mourning the fact that this guy gave up puppetry. They were like, he was so good. And then he just decided to stop doing it.
I got to imagine that in America, it's harder to be experimental puppeteer.
Yeah, it
And
was either
eventually
maybe
you're just like, eh.
join the Muppets, join Sesame Street, or get out. And
yeah,
he chose to get out.
That does suck though. I think a lot about how other countries have like all of these artist grants and it's like, oh, you want to make an animated movie? The government will fund this animated movie for you and you can practice your craft that is maybe endangered otherwise for like commercially.
Well, even though puppetry seems to be a difficult field to get into, Fozzie is going to give it a go. He has, at first, what seems to be one of my new favorite Muppets.
I love this guy.
He has Gumdrop the gorilla.
He's so cute.
Yeah. I was excited to hear sort of like an Iron Giant performance from this guy. It's like
He
sort of
does
what it
have
looks
Iron
like.
Giant head. Yeah, he does.
But unfortunately,
He looks better than every other Muppet gorilla that's ever existed.
and he doesn't even really look that much like a gorilla. But
No.
Fozzie telling me he's a gorilla, I believe it.
Sure. Yeah.
But unfortunately, Gumdrop is all tangled up, and Fozzie doesn't have the patience to unravel that mess, and so he just tosses Gumdrop aside,
Yeah.
which, based on, the lore of the Muppet Show, Gumdrop is alive, probably. So
Maybe it's like a Toy Story thing where you have to like love him enough for him to be alive, and nobody ever loved Gumdrop.
I don't think that's what Toy Story's about.
Well, I think if you give name to Forky, he becomes alive,
I'm wondering about this logic now.
That's how it works, isn't it? If you're like, you put eyes on Forky and you're like, I love you, Forky, then Forky's like, hello. But if you just make Gumdrop and you're like, you piece of shit, then Gumdrop never comes to life.
This is an interesting theory that I think in the context of Toy Story 4 might hold true.
Uh-huh.
But I also, when Andy doesn't touch his toys for 10 years in Toy Story 3.
I think once you go, you can't go back. You know?
Okay, so once you're brought to life, you can't die.
Yeah.
Unless you're in an incinerator, maybe.
Yeah, unless you melt, for sure, yeah.
Well, instead of Gumdrop the gorilla,
Gosh, maybe not even then. What would have happened to him? Anyway,
are you just a sentient blob of goo?
of goo in a dump for all of eternity?
Just a piece of hardened plastic? Saying,
Yeah,
there's a
these are
snake in my
questions
boot.
These are questions for smarter men than me to answer.
Well, unfortunately, instead of Gumdrop the gorilla, we get the dancing clown.
Too many clowns in these episodes.
Who's upsetting based on his design alone.
Yeah.
But then the
He's
act
got a bad attitude, too.
got a terrible attitude. He is being marionetted, I don't know if that's a word, by Fozzie, and suddenly decides, you know what, I've had enough of this. And
He's been 4 seconds dancing clown.
but he pulls Fozzie down by the strings. And Fozzie falls not to his death, but probably to some pain.
Yeah.
I do like the running gag is still going of Gonzo being sickened by puppets at this point. And Fozzie has a cute little cardboard puppet stage that he has built for himself.
Yeah, that was really great. Nobody ever helps Fozzie do anything. He has always just got to like draw everything with crayons and stuff.
It's probably Kermit saying, hey, if you want to do this, you're going to have to do it all. No one's going to help you.
Look, guys, I don't want you wasting your time on Fozzie's projects anymore.
But yeah, I did like the illusion of a hand puppet marionetting a marionette puppet, and then that marionette becoming a hand puppet.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. The clown didn't disturb me that much. He could have been creepier.
Oh yeah, the vocal performance could have made him immediately creepier because his visual style is very creepy.
I wouldn't want to run into this guy in a dark alley, but
But because the puppet came alive and pulled Fozzie down, Gonzo suddenly loves puppets now.
Yeah, now they're sick. Too.
Yeah, as long as they're murderous, Gonzo loves puppets. And then we have a very sweet moment before the final number of Señor Wences where all of the puppets, I guess the Muppets in this case, all of the Muppets gather near the side of the stage because they all want to watch Señor Wences perform. Señor Wences has Cecilia Chicken. The issues I had with this is that one, Cecilia Chicken didn't have a ton of personality going on.
Okay.
Two, I feel like there would have been a great plot line if Gonzo would have fallen for Cecilia Chicken in this episode.
Cecilia Chicken, sure.
And three, the phone gag in this would have worked a lot better if we hadn't seen him already do it.
Already do the phone thing?
Yeah. Like the fact that he does the same phone ventriloquist bit as he did earlier with New Zealand. In this, I was like, yeah, we saw that one, dude.
Oh, you know what? You're probably right. I thought it was fine. I liked it. I like Cecilia Chicken. I like when he took the egg out and he said, what's this? And she said, my son.
Yeah.
All of his voices are just so damn funny. I couldn't help it.
Yes, I did enjoy him a lot. I think just like comparing his two big acts, his first one was so great and stood out that this one just felt a little weaker.
Yeah. I love the conceit that Johnny is just standing on the floor behind the thing, just being like, I would like to see.
Yeah, every time he puts Johnny away, Johnny keeps interjecting from the side.
Very good.
Which he's really short, so he probably
he's a tiny guy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see him. But imagine if he walked out from back there.
And disembodied Johnny the hand. Like,
I was real the whole time.
And then at the end is when we find out that Fozzie is now the one being the marionette puppet for the talking, dancing clown. His marionette strings start to get all tangled up because he won't stop running around the stage.
Yeah. Bit of karmic retribution, isn't it?
I do wish.
They sure are whipping Señor Wences in the face with those strings.
He's been around puppetry his whole life. He knows what to expect.
He's used to it, yeah.
I understand the limitations of having Bruce Schwartz on the show because I'm assuming they either filmed that elsewhere or filmed it in advance. Probably didn't film it.
He doesn't want to show his face for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. He showed his face previously on the Muppet Show.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But it is interesting that this whole episode is pitched as Señor Wences and Bruce Schwartz as the guest, but he doesn't come out at the end. So it just feels a little strange that he doesn't feel as much a part of the show. But all in all, a great episode of The Muppet Show that, again, would be a great note for us to go out on and say, what a great last episode they did. But now it is time for us to discuss the actual last episode of The Muppet Show.
I'm getting a bad vibe from you about this one.
It aired on June 8th, 1981. It is featuring guest Mellisa Manchester. And Sam, I gave this episode 3 stars.
I gave it 3.5 stars.
All right.
Just like the Señor Wences episode.
For me, these are vastly different episodes in my brain. I did not enjoy this one that much. There are things in it that lifted it up for me, but Mellisa Manchester in general was not my favorite guest.
Oh, I think she's okay, and I think this is as standard a Muppet Show episode as you could possibly get. This is just like the test. What's it called in science? When you have like the
control.
Yes, this is the control episode of the Muppet Show. It's not too funny. It's not too not funny. It's just right in between.
To me, this feels like a good season 1 episode.
Yes, this would have been the best episode of season 1.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
instead it's like a middling episode of season 5.
Yeah.
We get a sort of traditional, am I in the right place? What is this show? Where am I? Kind of thing for the cold open. Unless the Manchester comes in.
See, I almost feel like this could be someone's first episode of the Muppet Show. Because it's like, this is a pretty good cold open, and you see some characters that are like, oh, you get to know this guy, Crazy Harry, blow stuff up. Animals crazy. And there's weird two-headed creatures walking around. It just is like, this is the Muppet Show, you know?
But it's season 1 of the Muppet Show.
Well, okay, Matt. We haven't seen Crazy Harry in 5 years, but other than that,
Yeah.
you're right.
I just think it doesn't feel like it fits in with some of the best episodes we watched of season 5, and so it just
Well,
sort
in
of...
my machete order, this will be the first episode of the Muppet Show.
People are going to be like, where'd Pops go? Because he's going to disappear for some of your episodes.
Maybe I'll intersperse them, and it'll be like sometimes Scooter's there, sometimes Pops is there, you know?
Melissa Manchester's first act is the one featuring the terrifying clowns.
Yeah, she says the word clowns before you see them, and you're like, uh-oh. I know it's coming.
And then it's revealed there's a seemingly dead body of a clown laying in front of her.
Yeah.
And I had this moment where I was like, oh, thank God it's alive. Maybe it's not so good that it's alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last time we saw these specific clowns was in the season 2 Judy Collins episode where she sang Send in the Clowns, which, you know, makes a little bit more sense.
I thought they were way more unpleasant in that one than they are here. They're a little more understated here.
They did have a lot like creepier choreography in the Send in the Clowns.
Yeah,
where they were
it's
like
a little slower and like, ooh, we're clowns. And this one, they're kind of just dancers.
Well, and it also, in that one, you couldn't really tell if they were trying to interact with her because they were like beckoning to her or what they were really doing. And in this one, it is just like, all right, she's dancing amongst
There's
some
just
dancers.
some clowns, yeah.
But I think
And there's a lady on high wire in the background, which is pretty cool. I liked that aspect of it.
yeah, it doesn't really get too much focus, which was surprising that it's happening throughout the entire thing. They don't even get like a close up, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
We do learn after that number that Statler apparently left home at an early age to join a traveling circus.
Much like Señor Wences.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he would have been doing in that traveling circus. We don't get that answer, but he does say that he ran away for a circus.
He'd be a good barker, I think. He's got that kind of outfit for it already. But I think he could be like... He could do like crowd work and be like, you, sir. He could be like, guess my weight or something. Be like, 10 ounces. You're made of foam.
Maybe he was like, guess my weight. And some other old man yelled out from the crowd, 300 pounds. And he's like, oh, here's my best friend forever.
Oh, it was a Waldorf.
Yeah, origin story.
Wow. We need an origin story. I would watch that.
For Statler and Waldorf?
Yeah, if it was like
when they're young men.
If it was like Nightmare Alley. But have you seen that movie?
No.
At the beginning of the movie, there's like a guy who bites heads off chickens, and Willem Dafoe's like, you don't want to end up like him. And then at the end of the movie, he does, spoiler alert, end up like him. But if at the beginning of the movie, there's a young Statler, and he's learning from Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe encounters a heckler, and he's like, you don't want to end up like that heckler, boy. And then at the end, it's just like a crowd shot panning out, and he's heckling. But behind his eyes, you can see that he knows that it was wrong of him to turn to a life of heckling from a life of showbiz. But he meets Waldorf, who's a bad influence on him, you know? I just wrote all of it.
I mean, I'm on
Disney.
board.
Hit me up, Disney. We can make a 45-minute special.
I think there's a flashback to Statler and Waldorf being young men in the 2015 series or something.
That sounds... Oh, yeah, I see him if you search young Statler and Waldorf.
Oh, it's from Kermit's Swamp Years, apparently, which we have not obviously gotten to. But there are some flashbacks to a younger Statler and Waldorf in the 70s.
And in Muppet Christmas Carol, when it flashes back to them when they're Marley and Marley, they're a little younger.
Yeah.
They have black hair, at least.
Yeah. All right, maybe we'll dig into the lore of young Statler and Waldorf a little bit more when we get to Kermit's Swamp Years, which, you know, we're only 20 years in our chronological order away from Kermit's Swamp Years, so...
Not 20 real years, at least.
Well, we'll see.
Oh, no. If it slows down to real time...
We cannot let that happen. Then we get a bizarre Beauregard number where he's playing harmonica. He's playing Oh Susanna on a rocking chair on his front porch. we see his legs, which I don't know if it's the first time we've seen Beauregard's legs, but
I
it
don't
felt
know
like
either,
it.
yeah. No, he's been on he was on the ladder, you know.
Oh,
You could
that's
see his
right,
legs
when he
in
was
that, I
fixing the
think.
fuses.
Yeah.
They were just very prominent in this number.
They're real beefy.
Got big old beefy furry legs that I didn't enjoy seeing.
No.
I don't know why he's wearing capris.
Because his legs are too beefy for anything else. They all have to shop in like the kids section because they're all tiny, but all their legs are very odd sizes. So all Muppets, I mean.
But yeah, then he just sort of shoots backwards through a window because he's rocking too hard on his rocking chair.
And this whole affair is like 30 seconds long. Very strange.
It's very weird.
It seems like something that'll come back later, but it don't.
Because we're done with the Muppet Show.
I mean, like in this episode.
Oh, I gotcha. I also didn't really like the rocking chair design is very clearly like a thing.
Weird rocking chair, yeah.
It's like built to be a thing that launches a puppet. But thankfully that's followed by maybe the best Muppet news flash we've ever had.
Yeah.
He's reporting on the Wall Street that beef fell dramatically, and then he glances up and says, "Oh no."
Oh, no. He knows what's coming, yeah.
which we get even further explained to us because we cut to the side of the stage where Mellisa, Manchester, and Kermit are watching this news flash, and she is very confused at what just happened and wants to know where the cow came from. And so Kermit basically doesn't really explain the answer to that, but he does explain the bit and says, well, see, he says beef fell dramatically, and then a cow fell on him.
Yeah. What a weird fucking thing to have in the last episode of the Muppet Show instead of the first episode of the Muppet Show. And he's like, don't worry, things only fall in the news, man. It's like, tell us this earlier.
Yeah.
And also, Mellisa, Manchester, the show's been on for years. You haven't caught one episode?
Yeah, you're in the last episode of this show. It is time for Fozzie Bear, where he performs with Pops. Pops' moment to shine. They are going.
All these old men are song and dance men for some reason in their past lives.
That's all they had going back then. It was either you go in the mines, you go to war, or you go to
Yeah.
stage.
You're at vaudeville, mining, or working in some factory where all your fingers are going to get sucked into a machine. War. It's vaudeville. I like that.
Well, Pops is here to perform Once in Love with Amy with Fozzie. And Pops says that he performed this song back in 1948 at the Roxy.
That doesn't seem long enough ago to me, personally. But
Well, the song came out in 1948, so I guess that's as early as he could possibly perform this song.
True. Yeah.
This song apparently was also in the first year of Sam and Friends. So, not the first time Jim Henson would use this song. But it is interesting to see Pops suddenly very competent.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
I didn't mind it. I actually enjoyed that he was
Yeah.
sort of the more competent one in the duo of him and Fozzie. But it was interesting to see his character be quite different.
It might have been fun if it had been Statler or Waldorf who were doing this and Fozzie was like, I don't know, that just seems like it would have been a fun little duo for them to come out one more time in their ragtime duds and do a song.
But yeah, unfortunately, this will be sort of the last time Pops really gets to shine in this way. Maybe the one and only time, I guess, Pops gets to shine in this way.
He's pretty good in Great Muppet Caper. I will accept Pops in Great Muppet Caper.
But he doesn't get to do this kind of thing anymore.
Yeah, right.
And then some imposters show up for this final episode of The Muppet Show. The Titarini family is here, dressed and acting quite like the Flying Zucchini Brothers.
Yeah, I like to imagine there's a big rivalry between
Oh,
these
yeah,
two.
the Zucchinis and the Titarinis, not fans of each other.
The Titarini crime family.
But yeah, they basically, instead of a human cannonball act, they're a teeter-totter act, which is a little less exciting, which is probably why they're so angry.
Yeah.
But they show off their act using Kermit and Fozzie and just flail those Muppets all
Just
around
launching
backstage.
people around. Yeah, pretty fun.
It did seem odd that this wasn't the Flying Zucchini Brothers, because I think one of the
Yeah.
puppets, at least, is exactly the same puppet as one of the Flying Zucchini Brothers, and they just replaced their zucchini unitards with a T.
Yeah, on like the same unitard.
Yeah.
I did like Mama Titarini. I thought she brought a lot to the
She could have been Mama
ensemble.
Zucchini.
That's true. I would have loved to see a Mama Zucchini. Mama Zucchini probably looks exactly the same, just with the zucchini. They're two identical
I'd be willing to
families
bet, yeah.
who hate each other so much.
That's the next origin. That's your
That's
Godfather
a good one too.
right there.
Yeah.
You have the warring between the Titarinis and the Zucchinis.
Yes. Papa Zucchini, I come to you.
on the day of my daughter's cannonballing. But then we have the cute little number that you alluded to earlier, where we got some birds playing guitar.
Yeah, some shaggy little, very 70s looking kind of birds.
They're playing How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? Pretty convincingly, I would say. Like, obviously, they're not hitting the right chords and strings with that one bird, but the way they're doing it sells it.
It's cool. It's a cool little, it's like a fun little concept. I feel like we don't get a lot of fun little concepts like this.
Then the announcer introduces the Swedish Chef sketch, which we've never seen before.
Part of me was like, I was looking out for, so he says, this week the Swedish Chef makes spring chicken. And part of me was like, did this joke not work and we need it explained to us that it's spring chicken?
I thought the same thing. Like, I was wondering, like, oh, did they forget to have the Swedish Chef say spring chicken? And they don't.
He says it many, many times.
Yeah, and the context is very clear as well. So I'm not entirely sure why they decided to try this one-time thing at the very last episode.
Would have been great for a first episode of The Muppet Show, just to kind of set up what the Swedish Chef's whole deal is.
You know,
he cooks.
Yeah, there are a number of things in this episode that do set up concepts for the entire series.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, you prepare a spring chicken on The Muppet Show, that chicken's going to spring and bounce all over the place.
Yeah.
This made me think about the fact that Camilla is so prominent in the Muppet movie.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back over these 5 seasons of the Muppet Show, she is so not prominent on the Muppet Show.
And she made a huge impact on stuff later on, too.
Yeah, she comes back and is a big part of the Muppets later on, and she's a big part in a few episodes of the Muppet Show. But it's very weird.
But you would think he was all like that. Camilla would always be at Gonzo's side after the Muppet movie.
Yeah,
definitely not the case.
Yeah, everyone else, like, their roles kind of stick together in the way that they do in the Muppet movie, post Muppet movie, except for Gonzo and Camilla.
Dr. Teeth is very prominent in the Muppet movie, and he's not really around. Or like, I've also been surprised at them not carrying over a lot of those concepts.
And then for our final number, the mutations have returned, Sam. We've seen the mutations in very limited appearances throughout the run.
The first episode of The Muppet Show.
But they also, this is the first time we're seeing the full trio of mutations since season 3 of The Muppet Show.
Wow.
In season 4 and 5 so far, we've only seen like one at a time or two at a time. We haven't seen the trio in a couple of seasons. So this is the first time we've seen them back. And Melissa Manchester is here to do a Spanish version of Your Cheatin' Heart.
I thought it was kind of a good version.
Oh, yeah. I liked it. I was a little confused by the plot line at first of who was cheating on who.
Yeah, it was like they didn't show Link and Mary Sue like early enough.
Yeah, they have Link making out with Annie Sue up in a balcony.
Annie Sue, yeah.
And I couldn't tell if like he was cheating on Melissa Manchester in that moment and that she was catching him cheating, or was he going to cheat on Annie Sue with Melissa Manchester? I couldn't really tell. And it becomes clear later on.
I thought maybe the trumpet player had something to do with it, but no.
No. It becomes clear later on that it seems that Link is cheating on Melissa with Annie Sue because he ends up getting
gored by a bull.
Yeah, over a building. He flies over a building, which is just karma coming for him. And that about does it for the final episode of The Muppet Show that we will be watching for this podcast.
I think she got the worst mix of after show Muppets of any guest ever also. Because she gets the mutations and the skiers and Kermit. And that's who she gets to hang out with.
And the clowns. Oh, you're saying at the very end, you mean?
At the very, very end, when she's waving goodbye.
Yes, she has mutations, Kermit, the skiers, and the weird guy we didn't even mention, who is the yodeling hang glider.
Yeah.
That they mentioned earlier on in the episode. That does surprisingly show up at the end. I think that's it. We did it.
Yeah, that's the end. Well, now what?
Now it's time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is Pops. Figured this was an appropriate time to talk about him since he had his biggest performance ever this week. Pops is obviously the Muppet Theater doorman and sometimes hotel owner, front desk worker, depending on what movie or TV show you're watching.
What universe we're in.
Yeah. If you're in the universe where Fozzie and Kermit are twin brothers, he is the owner of a hotel. But according to the Muppet Character Encyclopedia, Pops has been called Pops for a long time because he got this nickname as a kid due to his love of lollipops.
Okay, I'll buy that for a second.
But Pops debuted in 1980 at the start of season 5 of The Muppet Show, replacing Scooter's 15 seconds to curtain cold opens. I think Sam and I have both been pretty vocal on the fact that we prefer Scooter's cold opens most of the time.
Yeah. There's only one joke with Pops.
Yeah, and that's due to his either old man forgetfulness or his terrible vision, or maybe a combination of both.
Yeah.
Is that he can't see who's there, and also he doesn't remember anyone's names. So it's like Sam, but with glasses.
Maybe he's just out of touch. You know?
But as far as performers go, Jerry Nelson played the role of Pops from 1980 until 2002, which is from The Muppet Show all the way up through It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. And Pops will show up in The Great Muppet Caper, obviously. He shows up in Muppet Christmas Carol. He's briefly in Muppet Treasure Island. Apparently, he plays a big part in the Muppet Treasure Island CD-ROM game, which maybe we'll play on our Patreon live stream someday.
Yeah.
But Pops sort of disappears for a while in the late 90s, and then pops back up, no pun intended, in 2002 in The Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, where he plays the ticket taker. He's selling tickets at the theater that they're putting their show on at. And then after that, he has some parts in the backgrounds of things. I don't think he speaks in anything for a long time after that. And then once Jerry Nelson retired as Pops performer and as all other Muppet performers, Matt Vogel took over for Jerry Nelson, as he did with a lot of Jerry Nelson characters. And he would speak again for the first time since 2002 in the behind-the-scenes video for OK Go's Muppet Show theme song music video.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And since then, Pops has sort of he's been around. He's in Muppet's Haunted Mansion. He shows up in a couple things. There's a weird little emoji version of Pops that shows up in Muppets Now. Basically, it's Scooter on his laptop, and that has an app that pops up on his computer telling him someone's at the door, and it's called Dong Ding.
Okay.
It's called Door Ding, not Dong Ding.
That's better.
Yeah, it's not sexual. And then in Muppets Now, Pops is sort of relegated to an emoji on an app that pops up on Scooter's computer screen when someone's at his door. It's an app called Door Ding, and it just says someone is at your door. And the little icon is Pops, whose mustache has been turned into a circle, door knocker.
Oh, it's like a door knocker.
Yeah, that is a little weird. That I understand.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah. They just bought his essence and turned it into an app. We don't need a doorman anymore. We have apps for that. And yeah, a couple, few fun facts about Pops. There's not a ton to know or learn about Pops that I found out. But Pops gets more info about his life filled in the Muppet comic books, which we'll read eventually for this podcast. But in that, he apparently is not only the doorman, but also runs the wardrobe and props departments. So a real slap in the face of Hilda.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Mm-hmm. But honestly, that's about it for Pops for right now. I'm sure we will learn a little bit more about him as we get into those comic books later on. But what are you going to rate Pops out of 10, Sam?
I really hold it against him that he relegated Scooter to more obscurity. We don't get to see him every episode. And I don't think he's very funny. I'll give him a 4.5.
I think I'm going to give Pops a 6.
Wow.
I think this episode this week did a lot to raise him up in my eyes.
But he's so out of character.
Yeah, but I like this version better.
Okay.
So I think he just lifted himself up a little bit for me.
Sure.
I do think he is not the best. I'm happy he sort of sticks around in the background. I'm happy he does not become a super prominent character, because I don't think I would like him as much if he was super in your face all the time.
Yeah.
But the fact that in Muppet's Haunted Mansion, he's just one of the dueling portraits ghosts that comes out. So he's a very small part in that. So I like that they keep him around for stuff as this nice little throwback character. But
You're right.
yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, he kind of fits right in with the crew pretty well.
I feel like a lot like Beauregard. He's one of the crew. He works there. He has his job. He has his tasks. But he's not one of the ones who always goes out for drinks after work. I feel like maybe Gaffer is his. He goes back home and takes Gaffer with him.
I think that, well, his action figure came with Gaffer.
That's what
so I think
yeah.
I've probably also always subconsciously thought that too.
Well, and Gaffer's
Like-
with him in The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh yeah, doy. Yeah. So like if the theater's being fumigated or something and they're like, the cat can't stay here, then Pops scoops him up and brings him home. He's the one who let him in and he's the one who feeds him every day.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else would just forget to feed Gaffer if if Pops wasn't there. So, Sam, before we get out of here, did you have time to enjoy any non-Muppet things this week, either in real life or on your television?
Really, the most prominent thing probably that I did this week was go see Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh.
Were I a professional movie critic, my headline for this on my review would be, "Don't worry about seeing this stinker, darling." It was bad.
And that's why you're not a professional movie critic, I think.
That was my audition, Matt. Don't belittle me.
Well, gonna say, not great. Don't worry about getting that job.
Darling. It was kind of fun in a way. Florence Pugh is really, really good in it, and Harry Styles is really, really bad in it. And they're in every scene together, so it's kind of like Florence Pugh's great acting, and then Harry Styles is like, bad acting.
Like that you were gonna try to do bad acting.
He's got like a Cockney accent, which I think he really probably, I don't know what he sounds like for real, but he just is not doing he's not doing the best. But yeah. Oh, I saw Jurassic World Dominion also. Ooh, it's so bad. Genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I'm so afraid to watch that one because I know it's like available on Peacock now or whatever to watch, and I've seen every Jurassic Park movies.
You have to watch
There's some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
The last one, Fallen Kingdom, was a pretty big letdown. And so I'm not stoked. And then I heard everyone's terrible reviews of Dominion, and it made me even sadder. So I just haven't watched it yet.
I really like Jurassic World and Jurassic World 2.
I like Jurassic World. I didn't love the second one.
I think that one's at least just kind of a fun change of pace and legitimately kind of creepy. It just like nails a vibe pretty well, I think.
My least favorite thing about this trilogy of Jurassic Park movies is the need to invent new dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They keep just like trying to ramp it up and be like, but this one's got raptor breath, and so he's scarier now than the old ones, and he can communicate. And it's like, we already had a giant list of terrifying dinosaurs that we were terribly afraid of in those first three movies. You didn't need to invent new dinosaurs for us to be scared.
This one doesn't do that, but it tries to make one of the dinosaurs the bad guy, but then it forgets to have that dinosaur do anything. And then at the end, the T-Rex, as always, comes and just like destroys that dinosaur. But it's kind of like, what did he even do? Like, he's killed in such a rude way, but he was just really just minding his own business for most of the movie. And then it's like the music swelling and the T-Rex, but it's like, you just bullied that dinosaur. It's genuinely like B-movie, like awful. It's bad.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they tried to, like, the whole thing now is the T-Rex is the hero.
Yeah.
That guy who tried to murder everyone in the first movie is now the hero.
Yeah.
Just because he saves them
silly.
inadvertently at the end of the first movie.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a cool part of the first movie.
Yeah. It works once.
It's so stupid, but you shouldn't do it every time. You shouldn't be like, oh, the T-Rex is almost here to save the day. No.
Well, especially in Fallen Kingdom, he just like comes out of nowhere and is like, I'm here to get you. And in the first one, they at least like use him as a tool. Like Bryce Dallas Howard goes and frees him to fight.
And it's like, oh, I know it's coming. But then, every other time. This time especially, it's like, we haven't even seen you, bro. What are you doing here?
Oh, boy. Well, I'll watch it at some point. I'm not in a big rush.
You have to watch it.
Speaking of Rush,
so bad.
I watched Rushmore this week.
Oh, cool. Good fall movie. Great fall movie.
Yeah, we're doing a Wes Anderson sort of marathon, a slow marathon, where every week we watch another Wes Anderson movie in order. So last week we watched Bottle Rocket. This week we watched Rushmore. So, and I think I might be Max Fisher for Halloween.
Oh, that's a good one.
I just got to shave.
And then you're him.
That's pretty much.
And you just go around saying, I'm Max
Hello.
Fisher.
I hang out with bees sometimes. I'm Max Fisher.
My dad is a barber.
But no, that's it did inspire me to maybe do the Halloween costume of Max Fisher because all I really need is a beret and a blazer.
And a little suit jacket.
Have you figured out your Halloween costume yet?
I'm just going to be Columbo's dog. I think I've said that before, right? Because Rachel's being Columbo.
I think you said it maybe to me, not on a podcast.
Rachel's being Columbo, and already has her costume pretty much put together. And then there's no other character that returns in Columbo consistently, except for like one police chief who's in a few episodes, and then Columbo's dog, who's in like every episode, who's just a basset hound. So I'll just be in a dog costume.
So do you have like a basset hound costume picked out?
Rachel's going to make me one.
Oh, okay.
We couldn't find one that wasn't creepy or expensive.
A sexy basset hound costume?
No, just more like the face, like a mask with like, whoa.
I mean,
I'll just
that's
have my
what they
face
look
poking
like.
out. I'll just have my face poking out.
It's probably also
a
hard to
little nose
look for
painted on
basset
it.
hound costumes and not just get a bunch of pictures of dogs in costumes.
Exactly. You cannot search for, it's impossible. And they don't have any dog costumes at Spirit Halloween this year. So they have like big baggy cat costume, black cat, but they don't have like big silly dog costume.
What's wrong with you, Spirit? Get on it.
Dogs are out, cats are in.
You heard it here first. Well, before we go, we want to let you know what we'll be watching next time, because we're not really entirely done talking about The Muppet Show. Next week, we will be discussing the 1981 documentary of Muppets and Men, which will give us the best look we've had so far at how The Muppet Show was made. And we'll probably discuss the book of Muppets and Men a little bit as well, but the book is very hard to track down for a reasonable price. But the documentary is out there on YouTube for you to watch. And I have never watched this documentary, so I'm very excited to... I've just seen clips here and there on social media in the past, and so I'm excited to actually see the entire thing. We need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to Kermitment.com, where you can get a Kermitment logo enamel pin. You can join our Patreon, listen to episodes. That's about it. But you can do all those things at Kermitment.com or at CamelMatch.com for at least the next year. You can also email us at mail@Kermitment.com if you have any questions. You can follow this podcast on Twitter at KermitmentPod, where we'll, post the links to where you can watch things like Of Muppets and Men. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.